round robin and go back to your group and talk about what made sense and what didn't make sense and what resonates with you, that's when you start to see the boards change. Because there is a version where you go back, change what you want to on your board. And now we're going to go through another set. But the boards look very similar to exactly what you all generated. What's clunky are the mechanics, how do we write this up in a lab report? It's not do we argue, do we engage each other, can we be polite about it? Those aren't the clunky pieces. It's really in a lot of ways, it's the writing that's the most difficult.
Kevin, what you're speaking to is a common phenomenon with all of us when we're looking at evidence. And kids do it to the nth degree when they first start with that, and that is they ignore all of the evidence that doesn't support their idea. It's not important evidence, and they only focus on that evidence that does support their idea. But by engaging in this with their peers calling them on it, they start moving away from that. I can't just say it's this and ignore all of this other stuff. And that's very, very common. And boy, you see it in the public every day. Every day. And so that does speak to, at the beginning you do see some of it, it's just turbidity, and we have blinders on, we're not looking at anything else but what the turbidity says. But then when their peers come around and say, but we think that it's this.
Or you'll see kids generate explanations that aren't really explanations, just descriptions. Okay, so they're not really explanations. They just describe what's going on. They don't say how or why it happens. Those kinds of things manifest in the first few rounds.
And do the kids actually invent natural selection for themselves?
No, they never say that word, but they say
do they figure it out through this activity?
Well, it depends on who you're doing with, how much of that underpinning information you give. That thing I handed out afterwards. And I have another natural selection.
That's high school. This next.
I'll show you.
But they explore the idea much more deeply than I've found a way to get or seen students explore these kinds of ideas.
So for me, one of the aphorisms that I picked up from Todd is the one who does the work is the one who learns. In this kind of a classroom, the students do a lot of work.
I mean, the teacher does a lot of work before you ever get in there.
I mean, my work is outside of the classroom, and then it's in walking around to the conversation and saying, well, you're just describing things to me. How do you think this happens? It's in what I say to the groups. But they're doing all the thinking in the classroom. I've heard Todd say to teachers before, if you walk out of your class and you're just exhausted because you were thinking so hard, then you're probably the one who's learning the most in that classroom.
Yes, Ms. Lynn, hand up first.
Did I?
Yes, sir.
It was a little bit of a follow-on because I'm also thinking about some of the stuff that these guys have all been talking about. Like, have you had any experience about what is the point at which this argumentation piece makes the most sense in that sort of progression?
Do you want to see Tom and I argue?
No, because I don't know. I mean, we were thinking. I mean, we've had discussions about this idea that if they're doing this too soon before they really have enough evidence, even about how science works, then it's not as productive. And we want them to be more tentative, but maybe they won't even see that tentativity if they're simplifying it too simplistic the way you're talking about. And like, what is the appropriate, point in this sort of, trajectory of learning that you just really focus on that argumentation piece? I mean, I find it really hard to think about totally separated from the content understanding. I find it really hard to think about that.
Well, I'm making it very explicit what's happening in conjunction with the content.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying is that I feel like it's a different piece if they have a certain amount of, and we've been experiencing it today, how it's just totally different depending on where you're entering into that data, right? So, not that it can't be done everywhere, but have you guys messed with this at all? Is there
We've
some experience you can drop from and help us out?
Yeah, so my answer to you is Todd and I have been arguing about this piece. And we'll continue to argue about this question that you're asking. I haven't talked to Nick about his experience with where it should of that is maybe some of the things that we're going to be finding out right now. We have 8 teachers who are mainly teaching through this year in their classrooms. So that may help. My gut feeling right now on that is that it depends on how you structure the whole unit.
Yes. It's everything we do. I mean, if that's
And
sort of
I can
no-no,
see it,
I mean,
I
that's
can
like,
see it sometimes being great as the exploration at the beginning, like I said, sometimes great as the application at the end.
I think it's very context specific.
Yes.
I think it's, I
do.
mean, like
Well,
data
people bring
sets
different
specific.
prior knowledge to everything.
That's my gut feeling, but I don't have anything to back it up myself.
Yes, ma'am.
Is it also too early to know how students or teachers have changed their attitudes towards learning this way or teaching this way?
There is some papers that speak to that, but only from very small scale books. And what they will mainly tell you is it's hard. Just like you, it's not real fun at first. It's not what we're used to, and it's hard and it's frustrating at first. But as you do it more and more throughout the year, they get better and better, and they like it more and more. Till the end of the year, they're evaluating Carol's things. These are the things I liked the best out of the year. But yeah, I think that varies.
Yes, ma'am.
This might, nobody's asked this question, so I'll ask it, but it always comes up in California, and it probably always comes up in Florida as well. I don't have a science background, so I was paralyzed by a lot of the vocabulary that was talked about here. So I'm thinking about your English language learners, are there things that you build in? Because it seems to me like argumentation is an incredibly sophisticated thing for you to do in your own language. I experienced that today. To experience in a language that you're not comfortable with seems incredibly difficult. Are there mechanisms that you all have or things that you know of that help those students?
I think that this is, that argumentation and the research on it is so much in its infancy that they haven't even started addressing those questions. I can say a piece, and I'll talk more about it tomorrow with our GEMS data, that we had a various, of the, over 2,500 students that we looked at, we had a small number of English language learners in that group. And they performed no differently on the pieces that had to do with models and evidence in the space science unit, which were not nearly this complicated.
I
We saw a
agree.
socioeconomic effect, but not an ELL effect.
I agree this would be very difficult to engage in if this was your saying.
Yep.
No, and I haven't seen any research.
I've seen people actually argue that it more levels the playing field for them.
Because they're all
Than
requiring the
tradition-
same vocabulary.
traditional
Yeah, it's
teaching
scientific, yeah. I can see that.
I was gonna say, I think that would happen over time, like maybe not the first time, right? And I felt that a lot being in this group. I was like kind of waiting for you to say things, and I didn't know what your science background was either, so I didn't want to But what I was wondering about is that being said, and also thinking about your comment, I noticed a lot in classrooms. There's like the kid who says something has all the big words or has the science background or like
This
whatever.
totally pulls the rug out from under.
Yeah, and when you were saying like, well, somebody in your group knew more, so their answer trumps everything. And like, part of what I like about this process is you might feel it happen in your group initially, right? And you're like, oh, we need to back off a little. That person uses the big words, I'm just gonna back off. But then when you did the rotation around the other groups and you heard that other groups had different ideas, I felt like that was where, and I don't know if this, it would be interesting to hear from you if you felt like that kind of leveled the playing field where you're like, wait a second, that person who was using the big words in my group, somebody else had a different idea over here. Maybe that person wasn't.
And when you go into it the next time, when you go into the next time, you know, okay, it may not be the person in my group with the big words who has the big ideas.
And one of the things that I was trying to coach you all to ask each other is, how do you know that?
Yeah.
How do you know that? Which is such a powerful way to level the field, I mean, because, or the kid that has huge self-efficacy at the table, that just, boom, this is how it works, and they're so confident about the way they present it to their peers, that their peers just, this must be the way it works. until they get to another table where it makes so much more sense.
I think it's scary to ask that the first time out.
That's
You
why.
don't know that it's okay to ask that person.
Yes.
But what makes you think that, or how do you know that?
Well-
Except if they look at the data, right? If you're doing things from externally, and say, how do you know that? Because I'm an expert.
Right.
Right, well, you win. But if it's, why did your explanation, how is it consistent with the data, then something looks back to being fair to like, no, you said it always goes up, and look, it went down here. So, it's some piece of that.
Everybody has a piece of it.
And I'm not suggesting for a moment that argumentation is the end-all, be-all way to learn science. This is just one more tool to the kid. I know that the alternative for how I see some of these ideas presented is it just does not compare in terms of the depth of knowledge and thinking that goes on. It's
Why
just-
go back? Why not make it all argumentation? Because it's not very
Oh, well,
reasonable
I
to say it's a balance of everything we need.
Well, because I don't think you can ask kids to generate some of the very most complex ideas we have from data sets. We don't have time. We don't have time. I think it'd be awesome. I think we'd all learn much more deeply in a lot of ways. Because this unit takes 2 weeks, 3 weeks in middle school.
Well,
That's
the
a lot of
unit
time.
that this lives in, Carol, who's done this most in middle school anyway, says that when she does one of these argumentation activities, it takes 5 days. It takes her a full week to get through all these pieces that you all did, really quick.
That was this piece without a lot of.
And then that's in a bigger unit.
And when you're in a state where there's high stakes testing and these teachers, and they're juggling the ball of performance pay associated with your kids' scores, this whole, hey man, it makes more sense for me to just coach this kid to say this word.
But this is the good news that the GEMS data speaks to tomorrow.
Right.
That you get the content and more than you do this. You can still do better on the multiple choice test.
I just have a question about the round robin, if it was accident or design with the number of tables you had and the amount of time, would you usually have 2 rotations and then go back to the table with this step?
There are so many iterations.
You might have different
Your
reasons.
experience, because I thought it was really nice, having usually done it a different way than what I've done, to have us only do 2 rotations, because that way we did get to hear everybody. Since we saw 2 tables and 2 tables came here,
Here's,
so that
here's what why I asked how to do it that way. I wanted the person at the table to feel what it was like the second time somebody came to their table, how much easier it was. So I wanted some of you to get that feel in case y'all wanted to talk about that piece of it. I also wanted you to get the feel of what it was like to go back and talk to your groups. I wanted another person to get the feel of it one time. So I had a lot of different goals there, and I can see myself as a teacher in the classroom doing it different ways depending on what my goals were for that particular.
It would be totally time limited. Yes, ma'am,
because-
you've been really patient.
Oh, okay.
I have lots of things to say along the way, but this is a new one, actually. So what we're working on putting this stuff in our units right now, and we like surprise seminars and things like that. And the thing that we found, and actually Kevin and I just worked on a couple of units together, is finding like the juicy question that actually
Yes.
will work. And that's been the hardest thing to figure out. Like, I understand like under the best circumstances, you'll have all those deep, science ideas folded into them and having to struggle with them to figure out this cool question. And do you have criteria for figuring out like the question? I mean, we kind of know it when we see it. It seems like
Yes.
it's worked.
It's like
for us
pornography.
that way. But it's you kind of stumped on it. You're really lucky. It seems so far with us. So I just wondered if you had any ways of like identifying a good question to use for these.
That's the piece right there.
That's the important piece, and what I always ask myself is, what's the big idea?
So coming back to that.
Yes. And is the big idea accessible through observations and data?
And then you have to find some circumstance that
Yes.
will allow them to struggle with all those ideas, so it's not this quick answer right away.
And I have to say, that's one of the things I like about the argumentation pieces, is that they let me get towards the big idea by using sometimes data sets that the kids can't generate themselves. And so, by having to have our kids generate the data with so many of our activities, a lot of the activities they do are trivial, they're sidelined to what the central thing we're trying
I mean, that's the hardest, that's the
Right.
hard part. What's a good question?
You had your-
I was just wondering if you have any versions of this kind of activity where the students, where the groups have slightly different questions and data sets that might be related to each other?
So I was getting ready to hand this out, so this is, let me make sure, this is the one I'm watching. So, this is evaluate alternative explanations, so I'm giving you 3 explanations, you might choose one explanation and they may choose another one. And I was gonna hand these out along with
This
that,
is-
just so you can.
This is a paper, by the way.
This is a paper, but it has an activity embedded in the paper. And the activity is around these things that are called melting blocks, which Kevin asked me to let you all see.
They're only cool if you put ice on them. That's enough.
But I want you to feel them. Take them out of there. Probably not enough for everyone, but they can make more. All right. So, these are known as melting blocks. You feel the temperature of the 2 blocks? And then the question of the students is, if I put a block of ice on each one of these, which one's gonna melt first?
So, in our perfect world where we had all kinds of time when we play learning cycle, this is where you would apply.
This is what we would have you do to apply what we talked about. We don't have that perfect world. This is all about energy transfer. These blocks are the same temperature. So this is all about energy transfer, and if you look through that paper, and I'm sorry, I probably made 20 copies, I already have that enough, but if you look through that paper, there are 3 alternative explanations, which the kids are asked to
Right,
collect
these,
data.
the relevancy of these blocks are, they're the provocative phenomenon, if you will, that's exemplified in this.
There are 3 different alternative explanations that they're asked to collect data based on what they've experienced here. All right, now design some inquiries yourself to collect data to help you support one or another of these
I
explanations.
think the strong piece about evaluating the alternatives is that those alternatives are grounded in common misconception. So you're taking apart the misconception as well as supporting an accurate view at the same time.
Other things you want to talk about?
Well, other things I want to talk
No, I was coming to use the same thing. I've given them a provocative phenomenon, I know it's hard to walk away from that.
I mean, again, I'm not suggesting for a moment this is like the ultimate tool. It's just another tool that I think is inherently better than many of the things that are happening in many of the classrooms that we visit. And I've just seen kids really dive in and just fall in love with this approach. And that's why, this is why I really support argumentation.
Here's what you didn't do. This is the plan and section. In some ways, this would have been easier for you.
Thinking now of other subjects besides science. My students like argue and talk in their group. They don't like to work in necessarily. I got it. So isn't this just some of that? Like, yeah, it was fun. We got to make noise, we got to set, we got to art, we got to draw, we got to present. Is there something more going on? Or is it?
Well, I think there's real attention to the nuances of evidence, and that's one of the most. And again, I go back to where I think that's just a huge learning.
Is it something more going on doing this in science and let's say something else? Or is it,
Well, I think because scientific evidence is not what we consider evidence in other domains. I mean, evidence is a floating term depending upon the domain you're in,
yeah.
and those are the kinds of things that have to be recognized. I don't know how they teach that aside from asking them to wrestle. I mean, in a reform way. I can certainly tell them.
All these activities, by the way, that I'm handing out can go back to Big Samson, are attributable back to him. There was something
that support, that is quite a feeder for Florida State. All of the chemistry labs have just switched from a traditional approach to a ADI approach.
And
And
this
it's
is,
been very well received.
well, and what's happening now at FSU, that should be, I don't know. At FSU, the chemistry department now is saying, we need to go find out what's being done at PCC, because we're seeing a difference in their kids coming in and the kids from other community colleges who are transferring in. So, yeah.
I was gonna say another thing that I really enjoyed about using argumentation in the sixth grade classroom, and a couple of them, was that it actually revealed misconceptions much more readily and much more easily, and so you could actually address them because kids were talking and confronting each other, and as a teacher, you could use it as a formative assessment tool to wander around and say, okay, I see that half my class does not understand this content day at all, I need to do a mini lesson. I mean, I don't think you can take what you did without the context that it's around it naturally, which would be a lot of other things. And I think that would be misunderstanding what you guys were trying to say, which is that you probably are also paying attention to the classroom culture, and the kids are learning these kind of ways of speaking with each other surrounding this, going forth, and there's probably many lessons in between, and there's a lot of
There's
things.
a huge amount that we haven't had time to do with you all today.
And the idea here was to
To kick the box.
yeah, well, and to demonstrate, to go through the argumentation piece, not the
That was what the focus was.
concept introduction.
I've been totally sold by trying to teach this way. I thought it was really powerful and really interesting.
I have a faculty member, by the way, at FSU in the biology department that uses this in her large lecture. She does it a few times a year. You don't have to rotate through all, there's 60 to 120 kids in her class. You don't have to rotate to all group of 4. You just do it 4 or 5 rotations, that's plenty. But they take the time to do this a few times a year, and her students love it. And we need to start, she's now become a data source. We need to start collecting data on what's happening in her classroom compared to the traditional large lecture. The other piece that I was saying when I was talking about the expansion, we have a book contract with NSTA right now for a biology book that's collecting, here's teachers, let me put a set of these argumentation activities in your hands. So that is one help.
You were saying that the research is still in infancy, so that I'm being on the Google study to see how students who began this in middle school, how their argumentation skills,
I don't know of any longitudinal studies, and there's been a good amount of studies really about early 90s on, so, we're moving into 20 years, but they're small. And like I said, we're scaling up right now for the first probably fairly large scale study. So, yeah, there's some
At least not.
other things. You're tired.
Okay, well,
You should be tired because you did all the thinking.
thank you all very much for your effort and your thoughts and your time. And I really believe that there's huge promise in this kind of a technique. And again, that may be cardiac data at this point, right? How we feel, but I feel sure that ultimately will be validated that this is a very confident, great idea.
Are you turning it off?